Ladies and gentlemen, we are fighting a spiritual battle, whether you are conscious of it or not. It is happening around us. It is happening within us. There's something to that expression. In order to change the world on the outside, we have to change what is on the inside. You need to be able to distance yourself from the psychological warfare that is designed to break your spirit, and for many, a misdirected spirit of communication, absent of a spirit of truth. They hold a spirit of mischief. You are the one responsible for your shift. And I believe it is no accident that we are here. It is no accident that the technology has arrived to propel these ideas and messages during also such a dangerous time in our civilization's history. How many previous civilizations have come and gone, of which there is no record? Prior epochs, and how long has it taken for some of us as souls to understand some of the basic dynamics of what is called natural law or universal law? Is it so difficult to realize that we have the spiritual tools at our disposal that can shift things within our world? But it begins with each and every one of us. Because what you cannot change is someone else's free will. I believe we can pray for people in a general sense and some specifics. But when it comes to praying for a certain person to wake up, or praying for a whole group of people to wake up and get it, we forget why we're here. We forget about our own wake up to a profound level, going beyond this finite understanding of ourselves and others. This is an opportunity for people to right their wrongs in the face of so many threats. This is a time for, I would say, profound soul searching. So a lot of people are going to be affected by the coming changes in our society, in our country, and throughout the world. Unfortunately, there is just a lot of confusion. There is a lot of misdirection. There are a lot of souls and human bodies that have bound themselves to the materialism of this world, on their knees, in some cases, literally and figuratively, on their knees before the beast of this world. And living in fear. Not necessarily just for the body, but for the soul. You have all these people that are looking over their shoulder like they did something wrong. Because any man that walks with God, any woman, any human that walks with the Creator and seeks to serve the Creator, to be an asset to the Creator. What does that mean, to be an asset to the Creator? What does it mean to seek to be a messenger of the true Creator? What does it mean to be on that quest? To be on that journey of discovery. Discovering those answers when they come from within yourself. And so we have a propaganda machine that is redirecting powerful human intention, consciousness, towards these brick walls. The redirection of human energy to these points of attention. Their primary weapon is elements within the media, but it's also elements within the media to where there is goodness, there is truth, there is information, and there is a war on the truth, of course, under the guise of fighting fake news. And so, like in the days of the Gnostics, I have some books here in which I was going to read a few portions. Accurate, truthful information, things of a spiritual nature regarding the spiritual warfare that's going on. A lot of that is in the underground. A lot of that is being suppressed. A lot of the talking points regarding these things, psychological warfare operations to co-opt the inquisitive mind, as people start Googling and looking in certain directions and they find themselves in some of the black holes of the internet, the fake channeled messages over here from the so-called Archangel Michael and or others. I'm not saying there aren't angels. I'm saying there are many deceivers amongst us. You have the disinformation within the conspiracy research community and the misdirect and the divide, the fear-mongering regarding nearly all immigrants. And really a return of this perceived purity bloodline, the so-called Aryans, and then as people see this disinformation, see this propaganda, see this hate, and they talk about it, find themselves venomously attacked by other humans that almost seem to have no soul. So we're in the thick of something. Something that's in the business of collecting souls, entrapping souls. And on the other end of the spectrum, attempting to intimidate those souls that aren't going to go along with the beast soul imprisonment program. We aren't here by accident. We have an opportunity to evolve our soul in profound ways by overriding the codes of this matrix that are built within us. And it's through that mechanism of self-awakening that we can be a part of a real energetic shift. It isn't a collective. And we aren't here by accident. We aren't even victims. There's something so much bigger behind this matrix and above it. For thousands of years, mankind has sought to understand the stars, understand the heavens, understand the meaning behind things, to understand the cycles. The sun is one of those things. And someone today, with all the disinformation, and religions that have really painted God in a certain way, someone has to really desire the truth, the spirit of truth within their own heart for them to wade through the trauma that they have been through. Forced into a particular religion, indoctrinated to believe that this is God's will and that God is a punishing tyrant that has favors over particular races, and every now and then throughout epochs and cycles likes to go on a genocide spree to clean up the planet. And so this is actually an opportunity for a lot of people, for the first time in their lives, if they haven't already, to question their existence. What are they doing here in this matrix? What are they doing here with the information that they hold and the visions that they have within of a better world? A world of physicality to where we are able to live a different way and not constantly be bombarded with the threat of war and rumors of war, to believe that there's a place for us in a society somewhere, a world, planet, dimension, a reality, something more real than this simulation that we're in for some reason. David Icke wrote, "And the truth shall set you free." There's a lot of valuable bits of information in this book, and before David Icke got super controversial with some of his other theories, Children of the Matrix and beyond, this 1995 book doesn't take it that far. But when it comes to self-responsibility and the spiritual awakening and understanding that there's some truth to saying that the world is a reflection of ourselves. So I'm going to read from chapter 17, page 445, and then we'll get into some of the other books that I think go along with this conversation. Freedom may seem so far from our grasp, but when you read of the global manipulation, in reality it is but a thought away. The thought is our freedom. If we're going to remove the global dictatorship, and we are, it will be done by changing the way we think and feel about ourselves. Who are the real prison warders who have systematically delinked us from our true and infinite potential? We are. You, me, all of us. I outlined some ideas in the Robots Rebellion for the way we can organize and evolve our societies to ensure the freedom of thought and expression we seek. But they were only ideas, not rigid structures. Society and how it is organized reflects, like everything, human thought. If we feel fear, guilt, resentment, and hatred, if we desire for others to take over our responsibility, those thought patterns will create the dictatorship institutions of today. However, if we feel love, respect, and forgiveness for self and others, if we desire to retake control of our minds and responsibility, then society will express those thoughts. The answer to the ills I have described in this book is within us and how we think and feel about ourselves. Everything that happens in this physical world is the result of a thought or thoughts. If we change thought, we change the physical world. In this closing section of the book, I'm going to address this process because it is the means through which we can and will create a better world. The inner revolution becomes the outer revolution. The earth is a mirror of the human mind. So you see how they use propaganda to direct thought, anger, jealousy, fear. If our consciousness was not that powerful, was not incredibly, profoundly powerful for us to impact this reality, then why would so much energy be put into the redirection of human consciousness? It is appropriate at this stage to recap on a major theme of the book, creating our own reality. Look at your world and your life, and you are looking at what you think of yourself at the very core of your being. It is looking at what you think. It is easier to look outside of ourselves for someone else to blame for what is happening to us. But we attracted those experiences, and so the answer lies within, not without. We are absorbing magnetic energy from the cosmos and higher levels of ourselves and broadcasting that energy out throughout the chakra vortex system into the world all the time. As that energy passes through us, it picks up our energy pattern. This precisely reflects our programming to believe that we have a birthright and a genetic inheritance which ensures they will control the world and deserve to do so. That is what they believe, and that becomes their magnetic reality. This energy pattern, which they broadcast around them, attracts the experiences and opportunities to manifest in their lives what is going on. They do indeed control a world made up largely of people broadcasting and creating the reality that they are unworthy and have no control over their lives. How many of you feel like you have no control over your lives? How many of you feel like you have nothing to contribute to what's called the collective consciousness? This web of knowledge and information. Because the negative thoughts that we've been programmed to have about ourselves and what we have to offer the world, all of this has to come up for reevaluation. As we really study and dissect the propaganda that tells us that we don't have a place at the table to be sharing our opinions and be sharing our views. Skipping forward and reading a little bit from the next chapter. We can only be truly free when we respect ourselves and love ourselves, but humanity collectively and individually finds this hard to do so. Look at all the inner turmoil they've created in this country towards ourselves, towards each other, other parts of the world. As a result, we project into the world this self-dislike, even self-hatred, the spiritual cancer within us. This inner turmoil becomes the outer turmoil reported on the news bulletins. Some of the most aggressive people I have met have been those that hate themselves and have no love or respect for themselves. If our thoughts and attitudes change, so must life on this planet. I've also noticed, I've mentioned this often, with a lot of the trolls and haters, a lack of content and truth from their side. Just attack, 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 without expressing what their own truth is. Because there is that sense of self-hate that a lot of people contend with. A lack of confidence in themselves or their own message. So they attack someone else. Joel Goldsmith, Conscious Union with God, page 25. When your consciousness is imbued with the spirit of truth, not merely the letter of truth, but the spirit of truth, healing will take place. Truth is healing. Then you can explain to your patients what the truth is, giving them statements of truth, which you have proved or demonstrated and which have been a part of your consciousness. They will not only be glad to hear these statements, but they will fear the truth. Feel. Giving your patients or students quotations and statements of truth of which you yourself do not have the consciousness is like giving them a stone when they ask for bread. Rather, give them a simple statement, one which you have demonstrated over and over again, and which, therefore, you know to be true. Speak to others your truth. Speak what you know. Don't plagiarize. Know your own truth. Know why you believe what you believe. And share that with others with full confidence, with the sword of truth. Remember this, you are not called upon to heal a person. You are not called upon to remove some terrible disease. You are not called upon to change the activity of a human body. All that you are ever called upon is to realize the spiritual nature of the omnipresent God and God's perfect creation. You are called upon to feel a living presence, to feel this living presence at the center of your being. In every case to which you are called, the real call is for your realization of God as the life of man. God is the mind and the soul and the law and the substance and the cause. Stating these things, however, does not constitute spiritual healing. It is feeling them. It is an actual spiritual awareness within your own being. Connect with your heart. In our heart, Powerful heart, powerful aura. Okay. Just like the Earth's core and the Earth's magnetic field, as above, so below. In this book, we have selected poems from Ansari, translated by Paul Smith, published by New Humanity Books. And I'm often discussing the macrocosm to the microcosm. And so this particular, on page 15, poem by Ansari, and he lived, by the way, in Afghanistan in the 11th century. This is something that hits the nail on the head with that regard. In the following poem, and so think about what we're doing here and where we came from. Are some of us connected, soul-wise? Did we fall back into this world? Are we trying to climb up through the ranks spiritually to get back home? After this descent back into the biological world? The following poem, he describes his soul's journey from material manifestation to spiritual absorption that reminds one of a similar poem by Rumi. From the unmanifest I came and pitched my tent in the forest of material existence. I passed through mineral and vegetable kingdoms, and then my mind carried me into the animal kingdom. Having reached there, I crossed beyond it. Then in a crystal clear shell of the human heart, I nursed the drop of self into a pearl. And in association with good men, I wandered round the prayer house and have experienced that, crossed beyond. Then I took the road that leads to God. And I became a slave at God's gate, and then the duality disappeared. And I became absorbed in the one. We're here. And our memories, to a certain degree, have been wiped of the greater what is within. But we can reconnect with that. And these are the spiritual solutions that we are each individually self-responsible for achieving and moving into and beyond, activating our free will, acknowledging our destiny as souls to evolve beyond this dimension of physicality and into the next experience and perhaps beyond. The spiritual truths that we have at our disposal are the ultimate things that we use as a sort of truth to cut through those etheric chains, those influences of mischief, those known and those unknown. It's like we're in a video game where there's an objective. Only a small percentage of the population is woken up to this. I think it's our job, with this knowledge, to help others realize that we're in some sort of a spiritual matrix with rules and things such as natural law. And literally being in a dimension of a reality where we're living out our own Frankenstein. I'm going to bring more books in future videos and continue sharing some of these thoughts with you in a fairly abstract way. But the solutions are within. The path to the ultimate truth still starts within. With that, for March 4th, 2017, I'm Alex Ansari.